Should call this the never-ending 2005 Toyota Sienna top-end rebuild series, because here we are once again. This vehicle's back in the garage, and we're messing with the motor once more. And it wasn't because it wasn't running correctly. Everything went back together perfectly. We didn't have any spare parts. It was super, at least what I thought was super fastidious when we were putting everything back together, except for we did have an oil leak. And so it's super disconcerting when you've just replaced everything and you have an oil leak in your driveway and you can't figure out, you're not sure if this is the vehicle or one of the other vehicles is a culprit. Do have people coming and going quite a bit, and so we just weren't sure if this was our vehicle. But then so I dumped a little UV in here and threw some cardboard underneath it, and jumped underneath last night with a UV flashlight, and sure enough, it was leaking down the back of the engine and dripping all the way down to the ground. And so it was just the corner of that valve cover gasket on the back passenger side. But unfortunately, if you've worked on these, the engine's tilted so far back, that rear bank is just so far back in there. You're really kind of working by feel, and as careful as you are, I even ran a borescope around the back side just to make sure that gasket was still in place, and it appeared to be, but apparently I just nudged it enough or bumped it enough that it rolled just slightly, and it's not sitting square and it's not sealing in that back corner. So I will go ahead and pull all this stuff back off and just replace that rear valve cover gasket and just kind of throw everything back together so we can get this thing back on the road and back into service. But we just, we did check a couple other things to make sure there was no other oil leaks, and ran a UV flashlight along here, and everything was bone dry there too. So that's great, but not a huge time commitment right here. It's probably only going to take me, probably 3 hours to get this repaired again. But it's kind of super annoying that I've got to redo that again. But I still, this is still my preference vehicles to drive. I do have an F-150 and I've got a GX, and I actually prefer this over the GX or the F-150. And so we'll just keep going. For me, it's more about function over fashion for me anymore, and I don't really care what people think of me when I drive. So, but this is still one of my favorite vehicles to drive, and we'll get this thing back up and running and then back on the road.